VeggieTales, The Surprising Night. The castle buzzed with excitement and music. Ba ba ba, barbarian, sang a strolling pea with a mandolin. You got me rockin' and a rollin', baking and a cooking. Roo, barbarian. I just love that soft music, the Duke of Scone exclaimed. Me too, said Petunia, a barbarian princess. Duke and Petunia had their eyes on the prize and on the pies. They wanted to win the prize for the best pie in the kingdom. In fact, everyone wanted to win the pie prize, which would be given out on the Pie Plateau Festival the very next day. King Stanley himself would be there to choose the pie prize winner. In the castle kitchens, the hard day's night worked night and day on pecan pie. The night owl stayed up late working on his black forest pie, and the starry night created his favorite, shepherd's pie. As for Duke and Petunia, they were placing their apple pie safely in the tower oven when, bonk! Bam, bam, bam! Duke and Petunia looked down from the tower window. An old man banged on the door with his walking stick. But none of the knights on the first floor would let him in. They were too busy baking pies to bother answering the door. Bam, bam, bam! How could they leave an old man out in the cold like that? Wondered Duke. So Duke and Petunia scurried downstairs and pushed open the heavy wooden door. Welcome, they said, bowing to the old man. Bonk! Duke and Petunia had bowed exactly the same time and clunked heads. Thank you, my children, for welcoming me, said the old man. Pull up the old recliner while we get you some milk, Duke said. So the old man plopped in the chair as Duke and Petunia ran off to get him something to drink. The old man was watching the wild knight run around like a crazy man, listening to the knight at the opera sing while he baked. Everyone was busy, but no one was acting very nice. Out of my way, shouted the hot summer night. Work faster, the night before last yelled at his assistant, Holly Berry. Suddenly, the stormy night stormed into the dining room, throwing the door open without even looking. The door slammed into the night watchman, knocking his pike right into his face. Splat! The night watchman was furious. In fact, he was so angry that he pushed over the huge table loaded with pies. This made everyone angry, furious. All of the knights hurled pies at each other left and right. Splat, splat, splat. The knight at the opera tried to calm everyone with a little night music. I wish they all could be Rubabarian girls, he sang. Well, East Coast pies are splat. It's hard to sing with a pie in your face. Pies were flying so wildly that one of them even smacked the old man square in the kisser. Splat. So Duke and Petunia helped him upstairs to safety. Duke and Petunia bonked heads as they both bent down to wipe pie from the old man's face. I can't believe they did this to you, said Petunia. How can we make it up to you? The old man eyed the apple pie that Duke and Petunia had baked. Well, I am a bit hungry, the old man said. Duke and Petunia looked at each other. They had spent all day baking that pie for the contest, but they knew that God would rather have them feed a hungry man than win a silly prize. Dig in, Duke shouted. By morning, the entire castle was a mess. It had been a frightful night of fighting. Suddenly, the night watchman shouted, "The king is coming." Sure enough, a royal carriage was winding its way towards the castle. The knights hurried to clean up the mess, but it was too little too late. The knights scrambled outside and lined up in front of the castle as the king's carriage came to a stop. The door spun open and out stepped a pea? Bonjour, shouted the king's helper, a pea named Jean Cloud. Where's King Stanley? The winter knight asked. The knight spun around and nearly fainted. The old man standing in the castle door yanked off his hood. It was Knight Stanley. But, the knight did not know what to say. When you become knights, you promise to obey the most important rule in our kingdom, to love God and to love each other. King Stanley said, I wanted to find out if you put your words into action. You see, King Stanley had disguised himself as an old man and arrived a night early to see if the knights were acting lovingly. Unfortunately, the knights had not lived up to their promise. King Stanley had one more surprise for the knights. He held up an empty pie pan for all to see. This is the prize-winning pie, King Stanley announced, and the winners are Duke and Petunia. But there's nothing in the pan, pointed out the scary knight. There's nothing in the pan because they shared the pie lovingly, said King Stanley. That makes it the greatest pie of all. Duke and Petunia did not win because their pie tasted the best or looked the best. They won because they showed their love for each other. They treated others, even strangers, like knights. King Stanley handed Duke and Petunia the pie prize. Excited, they bowed deeply to the cheering crowd. Clunk! It was just one of those days.